Right, thanks for joining. As you can see in this episode, we're going to talk through some of the problems which led to a big crash we had with my 700L last week. Flying absolutely fine, not a problem. Then all of a sudden, just lost all control, sideways, and just straight into the floor. Done a fair bit of damage. Obviously the fuselage is damaged and a bit of damage to the blades, main shaft, feathering shaft. But I'm going to just take you through and try and give you an idea of what to look for when you do crash a helicopter, so you can hopefully avoid it happening again in the future. This one wasn't so much pilot error, it's just my maintenance error. I should have checked it more. So I basically brought it second hand. And the chap who brought it off looked very reputable. He looked like, he knew what he was doing. He had about 6 of them hanging up in his garage. And obviously I rebuilt all the head and the tail. And everything was thread locked, and I thought, it's fine, absolutely fine. Didn't check the cyclic servos. So as I was flying, one of the cyclic servos just completely come loose. It must have been working its way loose over the course of a few flights. And yeah, on the last flight, it just come completely detached. That's why I had no control. Bit of a shame, but expensive lesson. So I'm going to take you through now just the things you look for when you do crash. And yeah, bit of a time lapse of the repair, show you the new parts. Hopefully get it flying again over the weekend. Right then, so as I approached it, you have to start looking, try and work out why and what's gone wrong, and just be careful before you strip. And obviously these are scrap, so we get rid of them. Remove them, they're also very, very, very sharp. So I've kept these on just for the purpose of like the picture to show you the kind of damage, but they are absolutely lethal. So I'm going to remove them immediately. Canopy, that can be removed. And when I picked it up, I instantly noticed the cyclic servo was just completely detached, but the threads weren't stripped. Just inside there, the threads are all intact. Anyway, I checked around, and this servo, you can see the top screws are completely missing and the bottom are just loose. God knows how I didn't see this coming, but yeah. Rear servo, the elevator servo is completely attached. So that's what I'm going to blame for the error, because I had zero control. Tried everything, obviously throttle. I put throttle hold in straight away when it was in the air and I lost control. But yeah, there was absolutely zero control, and because you've got your 3 points of reference, obviously this one was gone. So when they're pushing up, just know that was just dropping down. So yeah, the next video, well, we're just going to work our way through now. Sequence of clips, and I'm going to repair it. I'm going to move the speed controller, because I'm using it for speed flight. With the fuselage on, I can't fit the fan, so I'm going to put it on the side. I'm going to move my OptiGuard, probably put that up the top. Just going to do a few little bits and pieces. I've got a repair to make to the just the insulation on that cable there. I've got some special rubber glue I'm going to just fix that up with. So first of all, it's going to be a strip down, a complete rebuild of all the components. Now I'm going to show you some of the bits I've had to get to put it back together. Okay, so these are the parts that I had to order. I already had that in stock. That's the tin main shaft. Did bend the F3C arms. Took a tooth out my gear. Don't know if the feathering shaft's bent or not, but you just replace them as a matter of course, especially on some at this size. Broke those plastic links from the tail pitch control arm. Tail blades were broke. I'm going to fit those, which are just the shims beneath the main blades, just for a bit of tightness, rigidity. The screws that were missing out of the servo that fell off, it was cheaper to buy this off the 700N and just borrow the carbon plates and the screws. It was only a tenner, I think. So, and I already had those in stock. That's another set of the pitch arms. The blades I'm going to go for on this one are off the 700N. the 700 XN, and a bit of a tart, but they're the yellow, so they will match the fuselage a lot better. So I'm going to go for them. And then a couple of weeks ago on eBay, one of these rare beasts came up, so I ordered it immediately. That's a spare replacement fuselage. Now luckily I ordered that a couple of weeks ago, hoping never to need it, and a week later I need it. So yeah, stick with me and we'll go through the build. So we're just working our way through, and I've stripped the head off. There's obviously bits of dirt on it, but there's a few things that you'd really have to look hard to notice, and one of them I'm trying my best to show you is the stress mark in the collective arm there. There's like a, I can try and get that on the video. You can see like a, so I'm going to replace those. They're going to get replaced. The swash driver arms look pretty straight, which is nice. You always just look down them, ensure that they're nice and straight. There weren't that much impact to the head, and I did it throttle hold as it was on its way down. So pay massive attention to the plastic arms that go onto your ball joints. But all in all, we haven't come out too bad. I'm going to replace the main shaft, and we're going to strip this down, and we're going to change the feathering shaft. Another way, a good way of telling if you've got any damage to the feathering shaft, pretty much on the smaller models, but if you grab both of them and rotate, sometimes, or grab one and rotate, the other one will actually move. But with bigger models like this, it's quite rare that you actually do bend the feathering shaft unless you absolutely slam it into the floor. But yeah, we'll go through now. I'll remove the feathering shaft, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, so I've stripped down the main head block, removed the two blade grips and the feathering shaft. Feathering shaft doesn't look bent, doesn't appear bent, but I'm just going to change it as a matter of course. If you look, if I can catch the light right reflecting off it, it's pretty good. I've rolled it across some glass and it's completely true, but I'm just going to change it anyway because I've ordered the part. Now again, I keep saying this, I brought this model from somebody who looked like they knew what they were doing. Multiple helis hanging up in the garage, proper workshop, all the stuff, pictures of it flying, you know. I thought, oh great. I've gone through and stripped this. I mean, when I brought the model, I did go through the basics and take off anything to do with the head, thread locking, and I checked everything over. I didn't disassemble the head and remove the blade grips. I've just found something interesting. So obviously you have here your thrust bearings, and these are designed to work between the two, the cups. So you sit one like that, and there you go. They take the compressor, I'm not too sure of the word, compression force or not axle force. Someone can answer me in the comments, tell me what it is. But what the guy had actually done, if you look at the damage on there, can you see where the rollers have actually been rolling? So he must have got these switched up, and that was actually, that's how it came out the heli, the wrong way. I mean, it'll still do its job as a thrust bearing, but all it's done is just chewed some little stops into that washer. So again, another good reason for stripping it down. The only problem I found on the other side, if I bring this over here, that's obviously the dirt on that bearing. I've got to change that, it's from the crash. But this goes towards the blade, and he'd got the open end of the bearing facing the blade, so the centrifugal force, all the grease just goes out of the bearing. So there's something else to rectify. I'm going to clean all that with IPA, get it all sorted out, and then go for a rebuild. The last thing I noticed is he'd put the vibration dampers the wrong way, so this was facing out, the thick end should be in, and it should narrow down to your washer and then across to your blade grip. So yeah, stay with me and I'll soon have it built back up, and I'll give you a quick demonstration of what it looks like built up. Okay, so we've made it this far. So what I've just done, I've completely stripped, cleaned with IPA, isopropyl alcohol, replaced the feathering shaft, cleaned all the bearings, re-greased them, put the thrust bearings the correct way round, open end of the cage facing in to retain the grease. That's all rebuilt now. I'm going to give you a little, when it comes to feathering shafts, these can be a pain sometimes. So what I normally do is stick a very hard, or let's have a look, a very strong retaining compound on one side, and I do that up first. So I'll wrench that up with, not retaining compound, just high strength thread lock. And then what I'll do on this side is be generous with the blue thread lock. I'll assemble everything, so this is the old one, but I'll slide that through the blade grip, through the head, through the rubbers, and then I'll put lots of blue thread lock on that one. And then every time I come to take it off, only one side will crack open, and that's pretty much a permanent, so it's just one piece now. And I just remove that as a single, rather than having to break two lots of thread lock. So you normally find the blue one will break before the green. So yeah, that's what I do there. So this is now complete. I'm just going to add the arms. The best way to test everything, there's absolutely zero play in that, feels really good. And if you pull, it's so easy to move, and if you pull as hard as you can just rotate that, super easy. So that is pretty much sorted. I'm going to slowly just go through now. I'm going to add the main shaft to it. Add these arms which are removed. You can pretty much, I'll zoom in with the camera. You can just see the damage on that one, but the other one, you see that there from the impact. So definitely worth changing those. So we're going to keep going forwards. So our lovely tin main shaft. I forgot what the actual, it's an abbreviation for something, but it's like a gold colour. I believe it's a really strong surface coating they have, so it'd be nice. But for me, I won't really, it's just because it looks nice. It looks better than the silver one, so we're good with this one. With these pair, I'd sort of just a little nip and then tighten them both evenly together. Just a small nip. And I'm going to switch over to the Allen key, then just give it a bit of a pinch. Pinch there. And beauty. That's ready to go. I'm going to reconnect my swash drivers. Do those as a pair together. And you can push against one against the other. Lovely. So that's that. We're on. So we need our pitch control arms now. So nice new pitch control arms. Even come with the linkages, which is nice. Very kind of them. Time to thread lock those in. Off camera here, I've just got a little tiny puddle of thread lock. I find it easy using a cocktail stick and just inserting it into the thread. Seems to be cleaner for me, but it's all over the place in there. Little pinch and repeat. Lovely. Let's do those. Bit of front lock on my hand. Next off, bit of a fiddle, but getting those screws. Obviously thread locks, I've just applied it to the bolt on these. Not too worried about making a mess inside there. And that's the beauty. So there's our arms fitted. Beauty. I've gone for the F3C arms, I'm not really into the hardcore 3D. I prefer just floating about and a bit of sport flying, high speed, so they tend to suit my my style of flying much better. So that is the main head complete. Now we've got our, I did this off camera, but we have got the tail is all complete, that's ready to go. I have to leave it like that because you can't get the body on. So the speed fuselage has to go on first. Now it's time to go through and double check, well, reattach the servo that's come off. One of the main things as well, before we even think about that, is we're going to strip the back off the servo and check the gears and make sure that we haven't damaged any of the teeth inside the servo. So 1, 2 and 3 cyclic servo is going to remove and check for damage in any of the gears. Right then, so we've come quite a long way. Stripped all the rears or the back casings off these cyclic servos. Checked all the gears, they are metal geared servos, there's no damage inside any of them, so that's happy days. Now I've moved on. Now this speed controller was mounted on the top, which looked nice, but I couldn't fit the fan with the speed fuselage. So what I've had to do is remove the stuff I originally had mounted on the side. I've now fitted the fan and I've had to just cut the plug and feed the cables through the side. And now when I fit that sideways in there, the wires aren't fouling on the bottom. I had to make a few modifications to the frame with my Dremel. I've just ground that out to make it a little bit more room for the cables and one at the top there. So we're going to soon get the ESC fitted. The other thing I'm doing, I'm just making, you have a loom that goes from there to your receiver. I like to use minimal wiring, so I'm just going to show you connecting I'll use these servo pliers, these crimps. Got these off Amazon, a couple of quid, very, very good. Highly recommended. I use top quality gold connectors. I think I got these Kingsley models. But yeah, gold coated. These are absolutely awesome. It's nice to be able to make your own wires and go through and just really make it your own. As simple as pop that in there. Just get your cable in. There's our joint. Beautiful. We'll feed those into a nice plug. And that's going to then loop around, feed this fly barless unit with power from the ESC on the BEC. Battery elimination circuit, I believe. So I'm now going to go through, just connect this, and I'll see you when it's all fitted. Okay, so after a few hours, we've finally got it sorted. I've now mounted the OptiGuard on top. I like to use a bit of hot glue. Wires run through into the fly barless unit. Got the speed controller mounted on the opposite side. Nice and tidy now, everything's where it should be. Pretty much ready now to add the main gear, main shaft and the head. Let's get cracking. Okay, so here we are. All the cyclic servos on. head on. We've levelled the swash plate. I've done it mechanically because it was already, well, I've electrically levelled it earlier on and now I've mechanically levelled it. I've electrically levelled the servo arms, sorry, and I've mechanically levelled the swash plate. So that's that now. We're just waiting for our swash linkages. Done the tidiest job that I could possible with the wires. I've used a bit of hot glue just to stop any chafing. OptiGuard on top. Polarised the antennas off the receiver. Bit of hot glue across the plugs. All in all, feels like we've done a pretty decent job. So we're all good. I've changed the main gear due to a big chunk out the old one. Because, I mean, it's not, most normal people would have just folded it flat, but I thought, sod it, have a new one. Don't want to take the risk. I've just refitted the tail. And next off now, it's get the fuselage out of the box. Got to drill some holes and get the tail fitted. Now this is a finger beauty. You don't see many of these in stock anywhere anymore. So glad that I picked this up. And it was a sale. This is actually a structural piece of the tail. So you get rid of your carbon boom supports. And this actually forms a strengthened member. I cannot wait to get it back together. Okay, so next part, blade balancing. Now out the pack, I'm very, very happy with these. Don't need to touch them. So you have like a seesaw in the centre, clamp the blades together, nice and flat on the table in one length. I'll lift them up and place them onto this, let's call it like a little seesaw. And then if you look at the minute, the left hand blade's down. If I just touch the right blade, just get it past that point and it should just drop. If it drops to the right and the right stays down, which it's doing, that's a very well balanced set of blades. It stays down that side. And then it also, if I just give it a little nudge, it stays down that side. So we are, I call those balanced from factory. What I'm doing now, I'm going to stick them straight on now, and then it's over to blade tracking and pitch setup. Right then, here we are. So back together, everything's all done. Going to flight test it, throw a battery in, see how we get on. Been a few upgrades to the head after all the bearings weren't fitted in the right position. Now I'm hoping it flies even better. Everything's tight, double, triple checked it. So yeah, hopefully the maiden flight goes well. Okay, camera crew. So what we're going to do then now, I'm going to load up a battery and we're going to go for it. Camera crew, pay attention. Sorry about that. You know, won't happen again. Right, come with us over to the flight line and we'll go for a flight. Ready, Anne? Well, that feels good. That absolutely feels on rails. Feels very good. Very, very good. Stick it for a little float around. I'm going to try and keep the sun on it so you can see it, but not get too far out. That feels good. Right, should we go into a bit of a speed test? So idle up one, put the nose down, it's all I ever seem to do when I fly is just a big stall turn and a fast pass. It is quite bright with the sun, so there might be some trouble focusing, but I'll come back past for a nice low pass. I'll go inverted, touch a negative and back out towards us. I'll bring it back into a nice stable hover. Feels good, feels very, very good. Feels very good, very happy. Handles well. It actually feels different to how it did before, which I don't quite. Well, with the thrust bearings in the blade grips, not the correct way around. It's probably no wonder. But yeah, that flies absolutely lovely. Good to have it back in the air. Yeah, I'm going to go for a landing, and that'll be. It's quite windy today, and the sun. It's hard to film, so. I'm going to come in and call that a wrap. Thank you all for watching that video and sticking with us. And if you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what sort of stuff you want to see going forward. Thank you.